conclusion inevitable.
It was a jump to conclusions, Matt.
My conclusion was that this idea was not a practical deterrent.
My only conclusion can be that it was a Sith Lord.
In conclusion.
Hello there, folks. Welcome back to In Conclusion, the only movie podcast that's the inspiration for a Death Cab for Cutie song. I'm your host, Dan O'Keefe, and I will possess your heart. And joining me, as always, is Kali Ma Anna Otto. How are you, Anna?
Thank you. If you didn't say my name, I was going to say Kali Ma. So I'm glad you did. Thank you, Dan. Like I said briefly, literally 2 seconds before we started recording the podcast, I'd like to take my intro time. I'm good, also, by the way. I'm going to take my intro time to just apologize for the lies I spread last week where I said this was my favorite Indiana Jones movie. There's just parts of it that really spark joy for me, but there's a lot of it that I don't like, and I was just thinking about the parts that make me happy, so I redact my statement.
Take out the big felt marker and cross out. It's redacted. Freedom of Information Act be damned. Also joining us today, once again, is Tom Hillmeyer. Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm tired. How are you, Dan?
I'm also tired. It's been so long since I last saw you.
Yeah, it's been about half an hour.
Yeah, we're recording this immediately after we did an episode of Fast Facts Live, airing every Wednesday at 8 Central at fastfactslive.com. So this is going to be the shortest turnaround that we've had from recording to posting.
I'm very impressed that you took this on. When I got that text today that you wanted to meet at 9, I was shook, but it was no skin off of my nose, so more power to you, Dan.
We have a schedule to keep up. I have missed the 8 a.m. on Tuesday deadline once, and it was a year ago. It was last August.
Why? What were the circumstances around that?
Why I uploaded it late?
Yeah.
I overslept.
Oh, okay.
Do you mean 8 a.m. on Thursday, sir?
Sorry, 8 a.m. on Thursday. If it was Tuesday, I've been missing it by a while every time.
I mean, I do appreciate that you get it up at 8 a.m. on Thursdays because then I can listen to it. Daniel! I heard it come out of my mouth and it was too late.
That's what she said.
Nothing I could say. I'm not talking anymore. Enjoy the silent podcast from me.
When I have my hat on backwards, I'm a completely different guy. I
don't like this. This isn't Dan. This is Neil.
This is DJ.
I love how in this audio-only format you can still tell that Dan has his hat on backwards.
It's truly a state of mind. It's a state of mind.
Speaking of a state of mind, or I guess eating out of somebody's former state of mind, because you eat out of their skull, today we are talking about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Released in 1984, directed by Steven Spielberg, produced by Robert Watts, screenplay by Willard Huyck and Gloria Katz. Story by George Lucas. Side note, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were both going through a divorce while coming up with the plot for this movie. Does it show?
Yikes. I mean... But doesn't Steven Spielberg, doesn't he marry the actress who played... I'm saying this like it's a movie about his life. Didn't he end up marrying the woman who played Willie?
He did, yes. They're still together.
Okay. Wow, good for him hanging on to that rebound, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh. So the film stars Harrison Ford, Kate Capshaw, Amrish Puri, Rosham Seth, Philip Stone, and Ke Huy Quan.
Cutest child on earth.
I apologize because I definitely mispronounced that. He also goes by Jonathan. Music by... thought there was going to be something said.
Just a silence.
Okay.
I'll just fill that silence again by restating my former thought. Cutest child I've ever seen in my life.
Definitely up there.
Short Round? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he's so stinking cute.
So the Short Round's named after Steven Spielberg's dog.
Sir! I mean, my car is technically named after his lawyer.
Indiana Jones is named after George Lucas's dog.
Yeah, there's too many dog names.
Lawyer.
Music, once again, by John Williams. Released on May 23rd, 1984, with a budget of $28.17 million. It made $333.1 million.
Wow.
And then everyone promptly asked for their money back.
The film received mixed reviews on its release. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 84% rating, and Roger Ebert gave it 4 stars. He's calling it the most cheerfully exciting, bizarre, goofy, romantic adventure movie since Raiders, and it is high praise to say that it's not so much a sequel as an equal. It's quite an experience.
Yeah, I feel like in order for something to be a sequel, it has to have some of the same storyline,
Well,
but the
it's
only
not-
similarity...
It's not a sequel.
It's not a sequel, it's a
No.
prequel.
a prequel.
It's set
prequel.
beforehand.
Well, I didn't realize that. I should really pay
That is-
attention to the year at
I
the
didn't
beginning.
I didn't
huh?
know that until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to say it right now. Justice for my man Short Round. Why isn't he in the first movie then?
You know, I think it's the same reason why Luke and Leia kissed on the lips in Empire.
Disgusting. Don't remind me
George
of that.
Lucas wanted it.
Yeah.
There's no underwear in space. Do you guys know that story?
Oh, how Carrie
Carrie
Fisher
Fisher
had
wasn't
to
allowed
just
to wear-
be taped down all the time.
Yep, she's
Yeah.
just free in it. Because George Lucas said there's no underwear in space. Thank you for that, George.
The film, this did win an Oscar. It was nominated for Best Original Score.
Of course it was. It's John Williams.
I mean,
Sorry.
John
I got
Williams
really
could score the
excited.
worst movie in the world and it could win an Oscar for best score.
Well,
I mean,
do you know
he's
what it
already
lost
scoring My Wedding.
to? The other nominees were Maurice Jarre for A
Never
Passage
heard
to
of him.
India, which won. And then Randy Newman for The Natural.
No, not Randy Newman.
That's one.
Natural's great.
Although Randy Newman also did the music for Monsters Inc. and a lesser film called Toy Story, but the soundtrack for Monsters Inc.
Lesser
slaps
film.
unapologetically. Unapologetically slaps. That's all.
That's
I
all.
just really like Monsters. So much so that actually the soundtrack made it onto my Spotify Rewind playlist one year.
Wow.
It's like a top listen to. Anyway.
The other nominees are Under the Volcano by Alex North, who is another composer, and The River by John Williams. So John Williams and John Williams lost.
That sucks. That's a hurt donut right there.
Yeah, and then it won Best Visual Effects. So that's
Yeah,
nice.
but did it?
Exactly. I was like,
Right?
I know this isn't a visual medium,
Yeah,
but the
it's-
look on my face really
It's
said.
still early VFX too. So
Yeah, I guess we should cut it slack. I mean, it was the 80s
Yeah.
and it's good for the time.
it's
I
not
mean,
like ILM had done anything like Star Wars before.
not Star Wars. Never heard of her.
No.
Okay, I will push back on this. I think the practical effects, again, look
Great.
fantastic.
They're always good. Yeah.
The only time that I noticed the effects and noticed something wrong was when they had to superimpose somebody falling off a cliff right above Indiana Jones, and you could see the outline of them as they did it.
You didn't notice the very clear James Bond-esque masking and blue screen when they were in the
In the raft.
in the raft going down the hill.
Yeah, or like when
Okay,
the plane
that's
crashed.
one.
Also, when they were in the raft
Yeah.
and the plane exploded, but it was very clearly superimposed.
Yeah, we're continuing the trend of Steven Spielberg wanted to make a James Bond movie and not Indiana Jones, where there's just
Oh my god, that first scene
so
is
many
just an
things.
Indiana Jones movie.
It is
Literally,
Yeah.
the opening scene, we never see that quote-unquote villain again. There's no purpose for it. I don't
That
even remember
sounds like
his name.
every cold open for every James Bond movie ever created.
Yeah, it feels like when the plane explodes, it should go. Did it?
We should be looking down the barrel of a gun. Dan, I have
No, he's
something
looking
to
down
say.
the barrel of a whip this time, actually.
Oh, you're right. How could I forget? Dan, I have something to say.
Okay.
The opening number, Dan, did it take you on a trip down memory lane?
It reminded me that when we were in the show at Marquette, we
don't
bastardized
say
the
it.
original script and didn't do it in its original form. We were in Anything Goes at Marquette, if you haven't realized.
I was
I thought
worried
you were in
gonna
Indiana
bring up-
Jones and the Temple of Doom, the theatrical release. Or the,
I mean,
the stage
The stage production of Temple
stage
of
no,
Doom.
not the stage.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, I get it why they chose Anything Goes. I don't get why they chose to even have a musical number at the beginning at all.
Just to show that she's a burlesque performer, I guess.
They literally could have just said the famed singer, and I would have gone, "Yep,
Well, they,
I
they,
believe
Reno
it."
they needed
Sweeney.
something to put the credits over.
Yeah.
You're right."
But what I was saying is how we bastardized it. In reality, we didn't modernize it, but we updated it to remove some offensive parts.
Barely.
Barely. Mostly just didn't refer to them by name. There are
Correct.
2 Chinese stowaways named Ching and Ling in Anything Goes. We did not refer to them as Ching and Ling.
Nope.
But you
really
kept them as
didn't.
stowaways.
Please.
We kept them
Tom,
as
did
Chinese
you see that
stowaways.
musical? Did you see that performance?
No.
That's for the best. I'll tell you off the podcast. I'm not too proud these days. I mean, it was fun, but I'm not too proud.
So, yeah, in the beginning, Kate Capshaw is singing Anything Goes. Because, in olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking. Now, heaven knows.
You'd think China would say, "Hey, there's a lot of racist content against our people. Maybe don't perform that musical here." But it was the 30s. What do I know?
It was the 30s, and it was before the Chinese Revolution, and it was before
this
white
is
people
pre-communism.
were forced to listen, as they should have been forced to listen to other people.
I don't know. I look at these movies that take place in the 30s through the lens of 2021, and I need to not do that. I'm doing my best. I'm not as good as some people are. I'm not perfect by any means as far as like calling things out goes. I could always do better, but I see some things and I'm like, "Whoa, friend.
Slow down
That
there,
wasn't the
Buckaroo
move.
Banzai."
Whoa, pal. We could learn something here, and it's don't cast white people to play Asian people in a musical in the year 2016.
2017.
Wow.
Speaking of don't cast white people to play Asian people, the one thing I will say about this movie is that the actors playing the Indian people, I'm shocked. They were not white. They were Indian or of Indian descent, which shouldn't be a thing to praise. It should be a thing.
Yeah, bare minimum.
Yeah, bare minimum, but
I mean,
considering every other movie released in history,
yeah.
good job. Even though there was controversy, because in India, there was a temporary ban on it, and it didn't open in theaters. It only came out on home video.
They weren't eating Indian food in the Indian scene.
I know.
They just weren't. Not a single slice of. I think
there was
naan
no
is
naan,
fine.
naan.
There was no curry. I don't like Indian food. It's too spicy for me, so I'm just doing my best here. I ate a red pepper flake the other day and was so spiced I called my dad and stuck my tongue in a glass of chocolate milk for 5 minutes. I am not one to speak on ethnic food because I'm as white as they come.
I did write a note down on that scene that says the food bit that they're doing just feels racist.
Yeah,
like-
that's not what Indian people eat, my dude.
Yeah, it just generalized it as they eat weird food. They'll eat anything. No, that's not
that's
how this
false.
works. They're human
They
beings.
eat
Yeah.
chicken and vegetables just
Yeah.
like us, just with different spices.
Yeah.
If I was trying to give the movie credit, I would be like, oh, they're trying to show that these weird ass cult people eat weird food like that. But that's not
Right.
what they were going for.
No,
not
it
a
was with
cult,
the
my dude.
Maharaja and
Yeah.
Yeah.
British colonialism.
Yeah. Well,
We skipped
should
way
we
ahead.
start? Yeah. I mean, we were so
You almost
enraged,
brought.
you know?
You reminded me of what my alternate cold open would be. Welcome to In Conclusion, the only movie podcast where people celebrate the appearance of the British in India.
Ooh! Ooh, I'm pulling on my collar even though I'm wearing a low tank top because I worked out today.
Look at you.
Praise me.
Yeah, good
Praise
for you.
me.
I did not work out today. We're stalling right now because Tom just left for a second.
Yeah, Tom, come back. Tom.
Where did you go?
Oh, when you left my apartment, Dan, the door was still unlocked, so the door just swung wide open.
Oh.
Oh my God, a ghost entered the podcast.
Ghost has
oh my
always
God,
been on
hello.
the podcast. Do you know how old
Hi.
our building is?
Yeah. This building.
My building's old too, but I like to think there's no ghosts in here. Unsure, Gage did tell me that the door in the basement is where the tethered from us come through, and he was joking, but like it kind of stuck with me, and I'm always scared an alternate me that has a scary voice is gonna pop out. So,
Hey, it's me, Enado.
no, no, please, no. Always a little nervous when I'm doing my laundry. That and the fact that there was once a spider in my washing machine.
I assume there's been a
attacked
spider
me.
in your washing machine more than once. That was the first time you saw it, though.
Dan, do not utter those words. Do you know how much courage I have to build up to do my own laundry right now because I'm scared there's going to be a spider in my clothes? It's a lot. I've considered taking my laundry to my parents' house.
You're an adult.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I am scared of spiders. You know how Indiana Jones is scared of snakes?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's me with spiders, my dudes. Except worse, because he's brave and I'm not. I would run away and cry. Every time he went through some cobwebs in this movie, I felt unease, you know?
There's been a disturbance. This is unequal. Yeah.
Literally, I was like, ugh, absolutely not.
Well, let's get into the film, the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Remember when we said this was going to be short?
I don't think I said that.
Short turnaround.
I think we just said it's going to
You
be
did
short
say-
round.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
An instance of adults
that
making
practical
children do
sound
something.
effects.
Yeah. So the movie starts out. It's 1935.
What a year.
I remember it
It's
well.
a good year.
Indiana Jones is in China. He is there meeting with Lao Shi, trying to get a diamond in exchange for money, something.
Isn't it like a oh, what's the word? It's like a statue. I can't think of what I'm trying to say. Isn't it like a statue filled with somebody's remains or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say the white suit that Bond is wearing is the exact suit I wore for
That Bond
high
is
school
wearing?
graduation. Bond, wow. Well, I put very Bond. No, that Indiana Jones is wearing is the exact same suit I wore for my high school graduation.
Uh-huh.
And that's
Love that.
all I could see. I was like, oh.
Oh, I thought
He was wearing-
just graduated St. Louis University High School.
He was wearing the glasses that I wear at work because those are what my blue light glasses look like.
gosh.
Those perfectly round Harry Potter glasses.
But I also put
Very
Bond,
cool.
because this is a very Bond scene.
yes.
It is. I like his one carnation that he has or whatever.
Yeah.
Also performing at this nightclub is Willie Scott, which by the name you would not think
LOL.
is Kate Capshaw.
Willie.
A voluptuous,
LMAO.
loud as hell nightclub performer.
Thank you.
All she wants to do is
I am
scream.
voluptuous and loud.
So Indy, he tries to make the deal with Lao Shi, but of course Lao Shi backs off on his word and he poisons Indiana Jones. And then there was a fight.
I
Literally
mean-
a scene from Casino Royale.
Yeah.
It reminded me. It
Did it remind?
Never mind. I'm not going to
They
say
remind
that.
you of the scene from Casino Royale.
I think that's what I was thinking of. Honestly, everything's blurring together. Forget it. Go
Life
on.
is moving too quick.
I'm weary. I am weary. Go on. This movie drained me.
So
It's happening. I can't tell if I'm remembering this movie or if I'm remembering Casino Royale. So that's where I'm at in my life. Thanks, Tom.
is this Tom's
welcome.
fault?
I don't know. He just seemed appropriate to sarcastically think.
fine.
Sorry, Tom.
That's fair.
So there is a fight and a shootout, and all of this is happening while the dulcet tones of Anything Goes, sung in
Not dulcet.
in
please.
Chinese are being sung. We meet Indy's little sidekick, Short Round.
So cute, and yet
Outside of the most blatant Star Wars Easter egg in the entire
yes,
Indiana Jones
I
saga.
finally caught one.
Because it was in the center of the screen for
Correct,
several
and
seconds.
I yelled. I was so excited. I'm not stupid. I'm just blind. I'd like everyone to know. But I was so excited. And Gage told me I'm required by law to tell this story on the podcast. We had a discussion because I was like very confused because Obi-Wan is from the 1, 2, and 3. And I was confused because I was like, those didn't come out until later. And I still don't really know if I'm telling the story correctly. I was very lost. Gage was like, Ben Kenobi. He kept saying Ben Kenobi. And I was like, this only means a little bit to me. So eventually I said, oh yeah. And that settled it, but it really didn't. And I'm still pretty lost. How did they know that there was going to be a character named Obi-Wan if the first 3 movies hadn't come out yet? Please excuse me. I was a Phantom Menace child, and that's kind of where it ended for me. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I'm more confused at the end of the story than I was at the beginning.
Good, I am too, Dan. I needed somebody to be there with me. I'm confused too,
It's like
Dan.
Ben Kenobi's like...
It's his nickname.
Yeah, and it's like the 4th character
Wait.
you meet in the original movie.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Ben's nickname is
No,
Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan's nickname is Ben.
His
But
alias.
isn't Obi-Wan Kenobi played...
By 2 actors.
What?
In the original
Yeah,
trilogy, it's
2
Alec
different
Guinness.
songs.
Where?
In the prequels, it's Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, and I'm just really confused. I'm not stupid. I'm just dumb. Listen, how many times do I have to say it? If you go any further than Phantom Menace, I know who Hayden Christensen is.
That's good.
I want to hang that picture of him and Ewan that looks like an 80s like family JCPenney portrait, but it's from the Star Wars photo shoot. I want to hang that in my home. My favorite song from Star Wars is the Ewok March.
Yub Nub?
That's where it ends.
Your favorite song is Yub Nub?
No, it's the Ewok March. It's like doo doo doo
Oh,
doo
okay.
doo 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 doo. That one. It's so cute. Thank you, John Williams, for blessing us.
I'm pretty sure you were just
boy.
doing a song from Zelda. That's in Smash Bros.
I'm pretty sure there are only 7 notes that you can really play. No, okay, hold on. I'm gonna get us copyrighted for 2 seconds.
I'm gonna keep going on the movie.
That's fine. Oh, I was playing Zelda, you're right. But this is the one I like. My bad, but that's the one I like.
So, Indy and Willie and Short Round, they flee. Indy gets his cure for the disease. Disease.
Antidote.
That's what it's called.
Poison? The poison for
antidote.
Cusco. Cusco's poison.
And they end up on a plane, a cargo ship that should take them to their final destination.
No, not Final Destination.
Almost.
Almost.
Foreshadowing.
With chickens.
Yeah.
There's
It's
chickens.
a chicken cargo flight, but it's Lao Shi's airline.
It's such a that's such a great reveal.
Yeah.
It is, but it makes you think he's going to come back.
It does.
It does.
Wait, he doesn't, though. Like, he's on his plane,
Well,
Lao
he
Chi.
pulls a Bond villain thing where it's like, oh, he'll die in this thing. We don't need to worry about him anymore.
Yeah, I guess. But I just feel like he should have been the main villain then instead of having approximately
5 minutes.
12 different storylines and one scene with that character.
Yeah.
This movie does feel like one big side quest.
Yes.
Gage and I were discussing, he mentioned that he thinks it's interesting that discounting the 4th movie, which we shan't be speaking of at this moment, the other 2 movies he's searching for specifically like Christian-based relics,
Sure.
I would say. I know Holy Grail's a little...
No, that's very
It has
Christian.
the word holy, yeah. And like in this movie, he is searching for something that's not Christian. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying Gage was like, how does he know so much about so many different religions? Like, even if you were like a theological studies major or something, like how at such a young age would you have time to master all these things? You know, it just led me to believe he was a boy genius, but that's just me personally.
Well, he's an archaeologist, quote unquote.
Which is a scientist.
Nary a bone has been dug up, but okay.
Well, so he's mainly focused on, like, the relics of things. So he knows about these rocks that we'll get to.
True.
So it's like he may not know everything about the religion, but he knows about these rocks and that they're connected to a religion.
But also he's fluent in Hindi out of nowhere, which is kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, he's a fictional character in him.
You know, I studied Spanish for upwards of 15 years.
But Dan,
and I'm not that good.
What you were saying about a side quest is like this movie is like the one that doesn't belong, even counting the fourth movie. Like,
yeah.
This one has, and mainly for me, it's that there are no recurring characters. Like,
they should have put Short Round in more films.
Well, it's like there's more recurring characters in the other movies, and there's a lot more indie things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this one has Indy, his hat, and his whip, and and they go on an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the only connection to the other ones.
Wasn't it also supposed to be originally because of Spielberg wanting to make Bond movies? Didn't he want Indy to have like a different gal in every film or something like that? But then that just kind of fell apart, and he got back with his main gal, his main squeeze.
That stands to the fourth movie.
Yeah, that's the one that stands most clearly in my mind right now for some reason.
I think that if they were trying to hit like the style of the serials, the like 30s film serials, this fits in perfectly as like a sequel serial. It's not going to really be related at all to the previous one. It's just going to have the same character going on another adventure, like Batman meets the Wolfman or Batman meets Abbott and Costello.
Right. And that's totally what they're going at. That's what he was going at with Raiders.
Yeah.
So that's definitely what he's going at here. It's kind of like he did all this world building in Raiders that is just non-existent in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's no university, there's no Marcus, there's no, like, he has to go get this thing for the museum. Like, we don't know about the quest or exactly what he's doing until we're like a third of the way through the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and right at the beginning of the movie, this gentleman, what was his name? It was like Wu
his
Han,
partner,
right?
who dies.
His partner, who we literally never met. He could be walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing. I've never seen this man before in my life.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's like,
Kiki Palmer.
probably would have appreciated it if there was some more link to the first movie. Like you could kind of get away with it if it was like, this is like his sidekick or his partner who it's like, oh yeah, we are both archaeologists at the university together. Like, that would make a little more sense, but he's just this random guy with a gun.
Mm-hmm. And if this is supposed to be a prequel, as you say it is, Tom, I'm not doubting you. I'm just doubting the system. Don't you think they would have had the foresight to mention in the first movie, like, oh, I had a friend that I used to work with, poor Wu Han. I swear to God, I think that was his name. I feel really wrong saying that, but I swear on my life that's what it is.
So,
Don't
it
come
is.
for me.
It's Wuhan.
Thank you. Oh my God.
I kind of like how it doesn't fall into the tropes of a normal prequel where it's like we need to set up everything that happened in the first movie, but it like went too far the other way where we set up nothing from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't even end with like somebody potentially offering him a job at a college so we can see a slight connection.
It would have been fun where it's like the last scene is like he meets Marcus for the first time or something like that. Where
something.
It's like,
give me something.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, all the other movies like kind of happen. It feels like the same part of the world except for the fourth one. So like the first and the third movies are like like start at the museum, we need to find this thing because this person's missing, and then it'll go to the museum. Like, that's the premise of the entire movie that is set up very clearly. Does not happen at all in this movie.
I don't know that I particularly care that this doesn't connect to the other movies. Like, there's no real hints or anything, or be like, this is how Indiana got his fear of snakes. Because like I enjoy like TV shows like The Rifleman. Each episode.
Of course you do. You're geriatric. Hey, there's an apartment open next to my grandparents in the senior living. Cancel California plans. I'm sorry, that was so mean, but I had to say
it's good. I'm looking. But I enjoy that, and I just enjoy it because I like the characters and stuff. My big issue with it is it feels like it's just... Look at how weird these non-white people are.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a huge plot issue with this movie. I mean, that's my number one, like, not even weird, but there's just so much racism in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I liked this movie, or thought I liked this movie, is because when I was little, I was too stupid to realize that. You know what I'm saying? And, like, Short Round is a prime example of a kid doing something that he's told because an adult told him to, even though it's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, Short Round could have been just as cute and done all the same things without a horrible accent.
Right.
And, I mean, the kid's in Goonies, and he's fine. You know what I mean? He also looks like, as an adult...
Data in Goonies.
What did I say?
He's in Goonies. Like,
thank you.
Even his character in Goonies is a little on the touchy side.
But it's not as bad as this, I would say. It's bad in a different way.
Yeah.
He, as an adult, looks like Fred Armisen.
He looks like Fred Armisen and Jackie Chan mixed together.
Yeah, like if they had a child.
Could you imagine
kinda...
a man who is an actual Fred Armisen, Jackie Chan?
That'd be really weird.
That'd be an
awesome
love that. Person.
I think that would be a great Portlandia sketch. Rip that show.
Just hire him and do it.
Yes. He does, though. Like, I saw a picture of him, and I was like, that's Fred Armisen. And Gage was like, no, it's not. And I was like, false. So, anyway, yeah, there's just a lot of things that are so obviously not great. Yeah. I'm trying to... I don't know. I worry too much about putting things kindly.
I think that... So it's not great, but I think that it was... Even though it was only 37 years ago, it was a different time that wasn't... Slap
it with the old... It was a product of its time Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's not approving of it, but it's just realizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I watched it for the first time as a kid, it was like I had no problem with it. And I don't even know if that was just because I was too young to realize it. Like maybe even then it was still like, oh, it's not to the level of we need to call this out or anything.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% because I know when I was a kid watching that scene, again, the scene with all the food, you don't think anything of it.
Right.
But as an adult, you're watching this and you're like, that's not good.
Right.
So,
back to the plot of the movie. They're in an airplane.
City. Oh, yeah, we're not very far into this.
We're not. I'm going to not be very specific with the plot.
That's fine.
So they're in a plane. The fuel gets...
I don't think the movie was very specific.
That's true.
Yeah, that's generous of
you.
The
pilot dumps the fuel and then dumps himself out of the plane along with the parachutes.
I didn't know jet fuel was red.
I was going to say, literally with a parachute for what? But
to survive the jump out of the plane?
This isn't like a Bane in the Dark Knight Rises sort of thing.
Why did I assume it was a suicide mission?
Oh.
I guess he could have just stayed in the plane then. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
And then to survive and escape, Indy and Willie and Short Round, they use an inflatable life raft, which they James Bond surf ride down the Himalayan mountainside.
100% a Bond scene that
too scary
could totally happen. Mythbusters proved, and they did this full scale. It can't work.
Of course
I was going to say there's no way that would work.
It doesn't work.
There's literally like centimeter of plastic between. It's only the outside that inflates.
Yeah,
it's not the rest
and
of it.
And the thinking was like, is it a big enough surface area to like act like a parachute, where like just air resistance will slow you down? No,
It'll slow you down slightly.
you break all your legs.
Yeah,
Also,
Please,
how do you
no,
keep
I
it
need
upright
those.
and not just flip over?
very carefully.
Yeah, for real.
Very carefully. How do you
They
control it?
probably
Very
spread
carefully.
everyone out, you know.
They get to the bottom of the hill, the Himalayas.
They get to the bottom of a mountain
Of the
range,
largest mountain range in the world.
and suddenly the weather is entirely different.
Yes, and basically after some complaining, that could just be the whole movie. After some complaining, the film ends.
That's my life.
They end up at a village where it's only adults, and they're very malnourished. And Kate Capshaw won't eat their food because she's a bitch.
You just described Florida.
Everyone's malnourished, and it's only
I'm
adults.
just
or
I'm thinking like a retirement community in Florida.
may I
all
entertain
adults.
you both with an unrelated Florida story, really quick?
Oh God.
Yes.
It's really short. Once upon a time, I went to the Golden Corral with my parents, and
That's never
one
a
of the
good
fun things
start.
about one of the fun things about going to Golden Corral in Kissimmee, Florida, is that every time you go back up to the counter, a little kid oinks at you.
What?
Thank you. That's the story.
Why?
A little kid oinked at me every single time. It was, it's a buffet, and apparently I was being a little piggy. So, thank you. Stay classy, Kissimmee.
So in the village, they find out that the village's stone, magic infinity stone, was stolen from them, and
Thanos got
also
it.
all of their children have been taken from them.
Honestly, who's lost? Truly, it's finally quiet
Oh my
there.
gosh!
I'm sorry, I had to.
And the
Gage and I were being such poop holes about it. When all the kids come back at the end, we were like, ugh, for what?
why are they partying and happy?
Ugh, couldn't be me.
I started watching
All the
this.
dogs came back.
I started watching this like alone, and then Anna walked in, and I was like 5 minutes in, and she was like, "Oh, I want to watch this. You're watching the one that I really like. I want to watch it too." So then I went out in the living room and I was watching it while she was working, and then she was like, she had the same thought as you, like maybe I just liked it because it was loud.
Yeah. I think I just liked all the different colors. Like, it was very colorful,
Yeah.
this movie. Whereas the last one's very, like, brown and sand colored. Beige, lots of beige.
It was in the desert.
That it was. The color palette of the desert is generally beige.
This one is in hell, apparently.
Yeah, lots of reds, lots of greens for the jungle.
Oh yeah.
Very Christmas.
There is
I did put on here beautiful cinematography at some points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It's very pretty. Cinematography by Douglas Slocombe.
Thanks, Doug.
He did all three of the indie movies.
Good for him.
Thanks, Doug.
And The Boy Who Stole a Million.
Never heard of her.
Him.
Her. I'm talking about the movie and gendering the movie as a whole.
Movies are like ships. They're female.
There are evil forces in Pankot Palace, which is nearby. And Indy is like, yeah, I'll go and I'll find the stone and I'll save your kids, I guess.
I think that's the biggest problem I have with this movie is what the heck is Indy's motivation to do anything? He says fortune and glory, but
He wants the stone.
You don't get any money from
he's
doing
giving the
this.
stone. Yeah, he's giving the stone back to the village. It's like,
Do those people look like they have money?
yeah, it's like every other movie. It's like, oh, go get this so we can put it in Marcus's museum, and it's like that's his motivation. Like in this one, it's like, oh, I'm in the jungle. Sure, I'll help these people out of the kindness of my indie heart.
I mean, he gets to ride an elephant, and that's pretty cool, TBH. But,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I love the elephants and how they're sized for the character.
How Short Round has
Indy's
the
the
little
biggest.
elephant.
Indy's the biggest, so he gets the big elephant. Willie's
Short
the
Round has the baby.
Um,
And And then suddenly there's only like one elephant, and it's the one that's torturing Willie. All the elephants are gone.
The one that's torturing Willie after she's been torturing the elephant with perfume.
Yeah. She sprayed perfume. We were watching that scene. Gage literally goes, ugh, he hates it.
So the gang, they get to Pankot Palace, where they get a really warm welcome from the man who runs the palace.
I feel like that should have been Belloc.
Right? You just want to throw every Raiders character in there.
Just one or two. Like, have it where it's like Marcus is wants the stone for the museum at the beginning, or Belloc is also trying to get the stone, or something
Hitler.
like that.
He's not technically a character in this movie.
He's not.
Never, not a word I've ever uttered.
Not enough Nazis.
Not a phrase I've ever uttered. Ooh, have you guys seen Overwatch?
No, is that the zombie one?
Yeah, Dan, you might not like it because of the zombies.
I don't like scary movies.
It's good. Oh, you guys are lame.
I also
That's
wrote
good.
down this is a scary movie.
I agree. This is a scary movie.
Yeah.
Y'all wouldn't make it through this Conjuring Fest Gage and I are currently having.
No, absolutely not.
I can barely make it through my Adam 12 Fest. And that was 70s TV, and that's too scary for me.
The closing credits music of Annabelle Comes Home is Dancing in the Moonlight. I had a dance party afterwards.
Do you know what the closing credits music for Adam 12 is? The Adam 12 closing credits music. I have a dance part of that every time. Also at the palace, attending a banquet, is
Snake Surprise.
the British.
Oh, my bad.
They just invited themselves over.
Yeah, basically.
I mean,
he's a British
wouldn't be the first time.
British Indian Army captain who did invite himself over for a routine inspection.
We call those poppings.
Colonization.
You know? Literally, he seems like a stick in the mud, if I may say.
He seems like the bridge on the River Kwai that gets blown up. Spoiler.
Dusty, crusty, and busted? Is that what you're saying?
So the banquet is hosted by the Maharaja, who Willie wants to bed and wed, until she figures out that the Maharaja is about a 12-year-old boy.
I was about to say, I was like, she what? How did I miss that? And then I was like,
totally at the beginning. It's like,
yeah, I'm not going to lie. Again, as per usual, I was caught up doing laundry last night. But I promise you, I was paying attention otherwise.
Was there a spider in your washing machine while you were paying
not
attention?
Not this time, my dudes. Not this time.
That she knows of.
Tom? If you guys are mean to me, I'm literally going to tape your eyes open and make you watch a scary movie.
Oh, why don't you just pull our eyes out and make it into a soup? Because that's
Sounds
what Willie
good.
gets. Eyeball soup.
Yes, it is.
Segue.
Haha, I'm great at this. I'm a writer.
What was your
time.
favorite dish that was served?
Probably the first one where they cut into the
Snake Surprise.
Yeah.
Snake Surprise? Yeah.
Personally, I'm partial to monkey brains, chilled monkey brains for dessert.
A delicacy. And you and Anna are on exactly the same wavelength through this. Because leading up to this, she was like, oh, I can't wait for them to have the chilled monkey brains. I can't wait for this. She was so excited for the monkey brains.
I feel like brain is not an uncommon food for people to eat. Like, some cultures eat, like, sheep brains and things like that.
I didn't understand the live snakes that people were eating.
No,
but
absolutely not.
I could see monkey brain, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even, like, bugs. Like, people eat crickets. Like, Gage said in Mexico, they have crickets, like, in place of peanuts at the bars. I've eaten a worm or two.
Like a stupid amount of protein. Like, they're very good for you.
I've eaten... What have I eaten? I've eaten some worms or some
I've had
before.
A cricket.
Oh, I know I've eaten a cricket.
Yeah,
that's not true. Cricket. Yeah, me too. Mine was nacho flavored though.
Oh.
Because I'm a baby and I need things to be flavored.
I haven't.
No crickets, Dan?
No crickets for me.
Dan?
I'm a... Whenever people describe having done something that I haven't done, my go-to response is, I guess I'm just a coastal elite.
Oh my god. Well, honestly, once you get over the hump of thinking about how you're eating a cricket, it's not that bad. It's just crunchy.
Yeah.
That's all.
I like a good crunch.
Yeah.
You know who else would like a good crunch? Willie from Indy. She wants.
Gross.
Am I wrong?
No.
The top
I just
of
don't
my
like that you
notes.
called it a good crunch.
The top of my notes say, "What a horny movie."
Literally. They're both two. They both think they're the sexiest thing in town.
There
And
was too
one of
much
them is
time
right.
spent on them trying to be with each other.
I love how Short Round's asleep for the whole time and also part of the fight.
Yeah.
Where Indy's getting, like, attacked. And then he adjusts his hat, and then all of a sudden his eyes shoot open, and he's like, whoa!
Yeah, so
That's how I interpret
while
it.
Indy and Willie are going through the motions of getting the confidence up to boink each other.
They're being sour.
Yeah. Indy gets attacked by a bunch of thugs. Specifically, Thuggies. That's the name of the cult.
Good one, Dan.
I wasn't joking.
No, I wasn't trying to actually roast you. Let me try that again. Good job, Dan.
Thank you. High five.
Oh, also, I want to say the guy who blended in with the painting scared the poop out of me. I've seen this movie before. I've seen that scene before, and I still jumped when he moved. I gasped
time.
audibly.
It's a scary
Every time.
movie.
Mm-hmm. This is the scene that I specifically was remembering when I said I liked this movie. Like, I like the part when he pushes the wall in and there's a tunnel, and I like this little fight.
I'm right here.
Okay. Ma'am, it's for science, ma'am.
So they dispatch the thugs and they discover a secret passageway with a bunch of booby traps, including
Booby traps.
Boobies.
Breasty traps.
Thank you. I was going to say it.
Breast tit traps.
Including a meat tenderizer that spins, that is about to tenderize Indy and Short Round, amongst other traps. So
There's tons of bugs
Yeah.
too, but aren't they mostly praying mantises? If I'm wrong, if I'm
and
correct,
Some
No,
were
like,
sticks.
at one point-
they were stick bugs,
Yeah.
and like pretty much they looked.
not like some
not the
hissing
gross
cockroaches. Not
Yeah.
bugs though.
no,
Yeah,
literally
and not,
bugs
like-
that people keep as pets.
Yeah, like nothing that's like super dangerous. It looked like, but who
No.
knows?
Literally, I don't love. Well, there was that one like millipede or centipede or whatever crawling up her back.
Oh, while she was reaching her hand in the hole.
Yeah, but I think those are only dangerous if you eat them.
Yeah, they don't
Like,
have
just
teeth
don't
or
let it
anything.
near your mouth and you'll be okay.
That's what she said.
That's what
I'm
she
not
said.
saying I want to. I am sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of this episode. Y'all are on my last nerve. If I don't get one, that's what she said in, I'm going to be mad. One of you better slip up. I'll be waiting. When you do, I'll be here.
So they end up in an underground temple where they see a
This is a temple of
sacrifice.
doom.
Some would call it that.
Bitch, it might be.
They see a human sacrifice where basically they take the heart out, but the heart is still beating and the person is still living, and then drop it into the center of the earth, apparently.
It's probably the coolest human sacrifice I have ever witnessed.
Yeah.
It is. It's very cool. It's another reason why I liked this movie. Because it's a not so scary
I think this
scene.
is my favorite scene in the movie.
The
Yeah,
sacrifice,
because it's
absolutely.
cool. Like,
Yeah.
the CGI of that guy's skin over his chest, like, it's pretty good. It's pee good.
And I did notice like all of the like how they shot it, where it was like, oh, they stick his hand in, cool, and then just jump cut to him holding the heart already, just so they didn't have to do all that CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Honestly, smart.
Yeah.
Work smarter, not harder.
So the gang later find out that the Thuggies, they have 3 of the 5 Infinity Stones, and they have an army of children to mine for the last 2.
I
Literally,
never remember that that's actually why the children are there.
And is this why we did Coney 2012? Is this the army of children that we were trying to save?
this is so weird that you mentioned that, because I was listening to last podcast on the left, and they also mentioned
They
Pony
did.
2012. It was an old episode, though.
I listened to that one recently. They were like, man, I hope he won.
Oh, this was an old episode that I was listening to.
I recently
Apparently
turned
they talked
Tom
about
onto
multiple
last podcast on the left.
I'm hyped.
Oh,
It's so good.
it is good.
Funniest podcast I've ever heard about the Black Death.
I was about to say, funniest podcast you ever heard. You better change those words. You're on it right now.
I've never listened to this podcast before.
That is straight up not true. The one day that I
Listen,
uploaded
Tom.
late,
I'm a $3 patron.
you
of
are.
this podcast.
You're one
Yes,
of the
he
3. Are you
is.
enjoying all your perks?
The biggest perk is being our friend.
I had to pay for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to re-up your subscription?
Yeah, would you like to
It
re-up
renews monthly.
your Friendship
Thank
Plus
you.
membership?
Friendship Plus.
I get to hang out with Dan more than once a week.
Yep.
So Indy tries to go and get the stones back, but he does not, and he gets captured along with Willie and Shorty.
Did they ever actually call him Short Round in
Yeah,
this movie?
when they
at the very
introduce him,
beginning.
they say Short Round, but then they call him Shorty.
Go show.
Because, Short Round's wearing those apple-bottom jeans and the boots with the fur.
With the fur.
Yeah, he's dropping it low, low, low. That's my dad's favorite
Really?
song. My dad loves Flo Rida. He calls him my man Flo a lot.
Your dad is a man of
that.
multitudes.
Oh, he is a colorful gentleman.
And then Indy gets forced to drink a potion, a mind control potion.
Isn't it blood, Dan?
Yeah,
Disgusting.
a mind control
Yeah.
blood potion.
Yeah, there's a lot of, all the Indiana Jones movies have, some sort of mystical thing to it. This one had just, one or two too many. I could get behind the magical stones that, do the crops and stuff, but, it's a little far.
Listen, buddy. The magical stones that plant the wheat, I can buy that. They have that in Iowa. Blood drinking, too far. I did it once. Didn't
then
feel
this is
good.
this is also the scene where they introduced the voodoo doll.
That's true. The voodoo doll that has an Indiana Jones hat.
Yeah.
Yep.
which
They
which
knew
is
he'd be
also a
wearing a
perfect
hat.
marketing, experience.
Do you think they sold any
Yeah, did
Indiana
they sell
Jones
any
voodoo dolls?
Let's check. Voodoo doll for sale.
Well, because it's in Raiders, the mystical object is the Ark, and there's not really any other mystical thing other than just the Ark.
As it should be.
Yeah, and it's it's only mystical when you open it because that's the thing they built up the entire movie. Where this is more of oh yeah, now there's this blood thing that you can drink and it becomes a mind control thing. And there's also a voodoo doll. And there's also these 3 stones that have some indeterminate power, but something to do with crops.
They glow when they're near each other.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted more there needed to be more build-up. There needed to be more, I want to say, exposition around all of these mystical things.
I think they should have just chose one thing and stuck with it.
Choose one thing and stick with it. Because then it grounds it more in reality. This becomes more and more of a fantasy movie every time they introduce something new.
They didn't even need a potion to make Indiana Jones hypnotized. Why didn't they just, I don't know, hypnotize him?
Or knock
Right.
him up, hit him in the head with a rock.
Yeah, something.
Do some sort of do normal hypnotism or something, and then
yeah.
and then in the vein of the racism in the movie, make it it's some sort of ancient Indian voodoo ritual thing.
I don't think I've ever heard the sentence "in the vein of the racism." But that was a really strong
I
start.
think what Tom means to
I'm
say.
putting,
I
I'm
understand
putting
what
myself
you're saying.
back in the minds of the filmmakers, back in the.
I think what Tom means to say is to keep this a period piece.
Yeah, the period of racism of this piece.
Yep, that we're still living in.
To keep the racism
I
going,
laugh
baby.
because
I mean,
otherwise I'll
I
cry.
guess in a way that it's a good thing that they went with the mystical power, because then it wasn't racist.
I mean, you're right. We should wait a second. Bare minimum Twitter should be celebrating this. Dang, diggity, dang, and
We
dang.
went
What are
full
we
circle
doing?
on this. From hating
Right.
it to thinking it's not racist.
We got here. Again, I think this all could have been solved by, say it with me, friends, hypnotism. Thank you.
Hypnotism.
Yeah.
Hypnotism. Thank you.
So Indy's in a trance. Short Round is working the mines, and
Let
Willie.
him keep his Yankees hat.
I know.
Love that. It's a trademark, you know.
And Willie is being prepared for sacrifice. Short Round hears from the children what will happen to him. He'll become dead alive, basically.
Isn't it because the Maharaja is down there too? Isn't he the one that's talking
Yeah.
to? Yeah, that's what I thought.
The Maharaja was also dubbed by a middle-aged woman.
Pardon me?
Maharaja's voice was dubbed by a middle-aged woman.
The whole time?
Why didn't they just have a child do it? The child actor who was acting.
Good question. Don't have an answer.
Was it... they were dubbed the whole time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Was there not a...
I didn't notice at all.
I am shocked. I mean, I guess that goes to say that little boys do sound like older women. But I just am shook that they couldn't find a single Indian child, Indian American child, Indian Canadian child, Indian English speaking child to play the role at all.
It was, I guess it was easier to get the voice of Zuzu in Poppy Cat. That's the top line of our Wikipedia. I don't know.
I literally cannot unpack this. It is sealed so tightly, Dan.
It is a jar.
It would have been
and
easier
the lid
to
is
have a
not
child.
spinning.
He's already saying, like, do you think this child, like, was he opening his mouth and he sounded like this? Like, do you think that's what happened? He just was, like, prematurely had a low
What
voice.
up? It's
and
me,
that's
the
why they had
Maharaja.
Well, there's also... just
I
in
am
all
12.
of the indie movies, there's a fair amount of ADR.
Oh, there's a ton of it, yeah.
Yeah, anyway. So it may have been just the kid was too quiet and we would need to redub
fair.
it anyway.
Fair.
Yeah.
And it's so hard with child actors because it's, like, expensive and
Yeah, and
time-consuming.
the
and
acoustics of recording a cave. Like,
it's so hard, you're right.
all that doom, it just echoes the sound.
It really does.
Um,
They were yelling Kalima too loud.
So they go to do the sacrifice after Short Round has escaped, and they go through it, and Indy is still under the effects of the potion until the power of love via Short Round frees Indy from that.
It's not.
Until
It's not
Huey
the power
Lewis.
of love.
It's burn.
That's
it's
a
from
burn.
It's flames
It's
of
just
love.
fire.
Because
Fire
fire
of love.
purifies all.
Yeah, fire just, like, knocks everybody
flames.
out of this brainwashing thing, which is funny.
The flames of love.
At this point, I did write a note that said this
Love.
movie is just a reason for a sweaty, shirtless Harrison Ford.
And I am all
I don't
for
want that personally. Oh,
I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it.
maybe it's because I don't like his personality.
I will
Like he's
What, is he too
also
gruff?
say the Blu-ray box set. It's like the only one where he's like shirtless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
listen. You know I love a good curmudgeon. Okay, this is
He's advanced.
Harrison Ford is like next level. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. He's too grouchy, and it makes me not attracted to Indiana Jones. Thank
I
you.
just love that Harrison Ford seemingly does his day job with the amount of enthusiasm that we all do our day jobs.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, another day, another disappointment. Am I right, boys? Don't talk to me.
So
Write me out of this film.
So they free the kids, and Indy fights the overseer of the children, who gets killed by a giant rock crusher, and then we have a minecart ride
Which
That
should
looks
be
like it would be a
freaking
fun roller coaster.
It absolutely should.
Thank you, Tom. I would ride it.
I tweeted last
first in
night
line.
while I was watching this, like, why is this straight up not a roller coaster? Because you could watch the movie and design the roller coaster as you watch the movie and just do it frame by frame and you're done.
Yeah.
We literally have oh my god, I almost just said Noah's Ark. An Indiana Jones roller coaster in California.
Oh.
Why not in Florida?
Well, all right, there is a story behind this.
Story time.
So they were going to build an entire indie land at Disney World. And it was going to be like a basically they were going to build the Temple of Doom and maybe not call it Temple of Doom and make it more inclusive, but it was going to include a ride similar to the one in Disneyland, the Jeep ride, and the minecart roller coaster.
Okay, I'm on board.
It was canceled by guess who?
Michael Eisner.
I knew it.
And guess what they put in its place?
The stunt show?
Meet and greet.
No. They put Splash Mountain.
Okay.
Michael
Racist
Eisner
mountain.
really wanted Splash Mountain. Which is,
For
if you know
what?
anything about Michael Eisner, you know that he really, really wanted Splash Mountain.
Why?
So-
I mean, Splash Mountain is cool, but why trade an entire have you... now I have the Splash Mountain
don't know.
theme song stuck
So
in
they
my head,
put-
Tom. Thanks a
So they
lot.
put Splash Mountain instead of the best roller coaster that probably would have ever existed.
It would have been sick,
Would have been
okay?
great.
Okay.
But they let Steven Tyler throw up a shocker on the rock and roller coaster. But they couldn't allow us to have Indiana Jones World in Disney World.
No, that we settled for a live action stunt show at Hollywood Studios.
Many a time have spent my afternoon eating chicken tenders while watching that show.
Many have.
So they escape the temple on the minecart. They go through a waterfall, fall into the water and escape. They barely escape the flood out, and then they get ambushed on a rope bridge above crocodile-infested waters. And
The crocodiles are low.
they're having the time of their lives, spinning around.
They're doing their death
Yeah.
rolls,
Okay.
and I just really love animals. Thank you.
I wrote down I'm not here for this alligator slander because they're not like people eating.
No.
No, I love
Yeah.
the visual that they were literally wrapping up whole chickens
Yeah.
in costumes. I mean, granted, not good for the gators to have
Right.
them eating clothing.
Right.
However,
Get a full chicken, baby.
a full chickie. We're eating good tonight in the gator hood. Am I right?
I will say this is the part
Applebee's
where
River.
Yes, it is.
this is the part where I wrote the note beautiful cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best probably the single most beautiful shot maybe in the whole trilogy, not counting the fourth movie.
We don't speak of her.
Is Indy standing on the bridge.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just stupid beautiful, and it's like, oh, okay. Why didn't the rest of the movie look like this?
Movies should film
They
outside.
blew the budget on that.
Movie should film
They-
outside at sunset in
Yeah.
a jungle with a sweaty Harrison Ford.
Rippling,
But not
dehydrated
today.
Harrison Ford.
Oh, not today.
I don't
Harrison
want him.
Ford.
Replace him. Who would I
Replace
replace
him.
with? A different
That's at the end of the
curmudgeon.
movie.
Martin Freeman.
That's at the end of the podcast when we recast.
Yeah.
Freeman.
Yeah, you're right. He's a grouch.
So it looks like they're cornered, and then Indy cuts the bridge in half, which knocks a lot of the henchmen
Terrifying.
off. And then
I would have been one of those. Even if he told me to hang on, I would have been tumbling to my death.
they hang.
I know it.
They hang on, and they're climbing up, and they're fighting. Whatever. It looks like Indy's not going to make it, and then huzzah! Here come the British! Hooray!
For what? Never in my
I wrote
life.
that note where it's like, oh, the British saviors.
What is it? What is it? Willie says she's like, finally.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's the
ma'am.
British.
Yay!
Save yourself, ma'am.
And the British Army, they open fire against the thuggies, send them away. Mola Ram has fallen into the crocodiles, and I'll just say that he has become Crocodile Rock because he'll be crying. Because he is dead.
Dan, you uttered the words, and I had to.
I know. I was setting you up, and you hit it right out of the park.
There's a cover of
Thank
that
you.
song. I want to say it's a cover by the Baha Men. In Crocodile Hunter Collision Course, now streaming on HBO Max.
Oh my goodness. We should do that instead of the fourth movie.
We said that last time.
Did we really?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what you said
goodness.
last
I
time.
need a way to shoehorn Crocodile Hunter Collision Course into every single episode of this podcast.
I look forward to it.
Well, that's basically the end of the movie. One more thing happens. They return the stone to the town, whereas now Lush and the children are there. And that's... Then the credits roll. That's it.
Fortune and glory.
We made it, y'all.
We did. It's, it's fine. It's really loud. It's really loud and really dark, and it's definitely written by people going through a divorce.
It's definitely suited for children.
What's funny
Is it, though? Because this caused the PG-13 rating.
It did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it was rated PG when it came out, and parents were like,
Was it? Yeah. Was it like it wasn't R because they didn't put any blood? Like there wasn't enough blood. Like,
yeah.
If there was,
There's also no
if there was more
swears.
blood, they would have R'd it. But
That's so interesting that this is... I guess it's because, like, now you think about what's rated PG-13 versus what's rated PG, and the line is so, like... First of all, you think about how there's no G-rated movies anymore.
Yeah, there are.
Mm-hmm. it like
Name one, please.
Toy
the
Story.
Shrek trilogy.
Toy Story 4.
I think all the Shreks are G.
Okay, well, I redacted. But I just... you think about, like, even the difference between PG and PG-13 feels more stark. This feels like today it would have passed for a PG movie.
I don't think so. I think it's
so.
missing the swearing, but otherwise it has...
Maybe
it's
that's
the
why.
violence would definitely put it to PG-13.
I think they would have preferred it to be PG-13 because then they could show more blood.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I do remember the first movie that I saw that I was very surprised was rated PG was Airplane.
That's PG?
It was before PG-13.
Before PG-13. The only thing that is weird is because there's just frontal nudity.
Yeah.
Yeah, just frontal nudity.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is a PG movie. Interesting.
There's also, like, a blow-up doll and...
Suggestive content.
Yeah.
And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. All of which
Yes.
should be rated PG-13, if not R.
Yep. Sorry, Kareem. Pride. I think he was playing on the Bucks the last time that they won a championship.
That is
You
correct.
were not mistaken.
1973.
73, yeah.
Yep.
As we are recording, the
Go
Bucks
Bucks.
lost tonight.
Did they really?
106 to 103.
Oh, booty.
Game 1.
It's okay. Game 1. That's okay. Boys, come on. Throw the ball. Score a hoop.
I mean, do y'all have anything else about your thoughts on the movie, general?
I found it fascinating, like, because this was always the odd movie out, but rewatching it, like, it's not like I want it out of the trilogy. Like, I think it
agree with
still
you.
works. I mean, it's I didn't hate watching it. Like,
No.
it's still a fairly decent movie.
It's just so long.
With all it is
It's under
long.
2 hours.
It's like it's
Barely.
it's like 158. It's an hour.
It's not
50.
a tight one. It's not a tight night.
That's true,
it's not.
But like it still fits it still works in the trilogy. Like I wouldn't want to take it out. I mean, obviously it doesn't connect to the other two. Like the other two connect very well, and this one doesn't. But it's still enough of a good adventure that I'm happy it's there. And the fourth movie makes this one look so much better.
That's true. It does.
The fourth movie makes a lot of things look better. I'm just going to say I like this movie because it evokes memories from my youth.
Were you a child slave in a
Are
mine?
you okay?
No, I just mean I liked it when I was little. There were parts that I liked. My dad used to...
Dan and I both have our windows open and live very near each other.
Very near each
heard
other.
that
You live
motorcycle.
above me, Tom.
Hi, Dan.
You know, that was so scary. I was like, do you really not like what I'm saying? You're interrupting me with
that was just a
horns
This is a
and
motorcycle.
drag racing. Are we covering Fast and Furious now? The new movie drops on Friday.
Yeah.
Anyway.
F9.
No, there are just parts of it that, like, I cherish because my dad quotes them. I don't know. That's literally the only reason. Like, there's just things about it that I've carried through my life with me that I like, and there's certain parts that spark joy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the movie does not spark joy, and I think it's just because it's a product of its time, and also because it's so freaking long. It's just a
So
slog
long.
at some parts.
I mean, I think I've watched this movie half a dozen times.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Last Crusade and Raiders more times than I can count. I know I've seen this movie like probably 5 times.
I told Gage, I think the last time I saw this movie, or at least part of it, was I was working out at one of the gyms at Marquette, and it was on one of the TVs.
Oh.
And so I put in my headphones, and, Kali Ma, I was doing my elliptical. So
I feel like this is a movie where it's like you watch it and you're like, you notice, like you realize that you didn't like it as much as you thought you did, and then like you still enjoyed watching it, but it was like, okay, like it's worse than I remember, and then there's a long enough period of time where you forget about that, and then you're like, oh, I haven't seen Temple of Doom in a while. I remember liking that movie.
it's a vicious cycle,
Yeah,
truly.
it's like every like 5 or 6 years where you're like, yeah, I could watch this again.
And then you watch and you're like, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah.
Dan, what say you?
I think it's fine. I think it's fun. I think it's too loud and too dark.
It's very
Okay.
scary.
Too bitter.
Dan, again, there's room at the New Perspectives retirement home if you're looking for a place to live.
Okay, if I was at New Perspectives Retirement Home, I would not think it's too loud. I'd ask them to turn it up more because I couldn't hear it.
It is right by the baseball field, though. Not Miller Park, the Milkmen in
Oh,
Franklin.
in Franklin.
But in general, it's a fun, rollicking adventure. Would be better if the Nazis were the villain, but
I think
I
that would have
mean-
been a nice, like,
Didn't we have enough of the Nazis?
Tom,
in real-
I just want you to realize that I
just
said
said
it would have
it
been
would
better
be
with the
nice.
Nazis as the villain. And you said it would have been nice.
Yeah, they could come
Nazis
around
would have been a
and
good
be the
addition.
villains.
I think that, like keep everything else the same, but just make, like, the thuggies
Nazis?
That would have linked it enough with the other 2 movies that I would have been more okay with it feeling like a complete trilogy.
But then
Like, because then
Why
it's
did
the
the-
same villain for all 3 movies, and you can tie them all together, and you could have,
Yeah.
like, obviously you wouldn't have the same Nazi bad guy from the first movie because they died, so you could get another baddie Nazi that, like, replaced the guy from the first movie, and then you don't need Marcus or Belloc or any of those people.
You
Like-
do need the monkey, the Hitler monkey.
You don't
he's
need
not a Hitler monkey.
He died
How dare
from
you.
bad dates, Dan. Do you not remember?
I remember.
He died for our sins, and I love him.
I'm also remembering that I suggested that Belloc should have been in this movie, but he totally died in the last movie.
Yeah,
Did he?
But this is a prequel, so
so it was
he would have
fine.
been alive.
We would have figured it out in the script writing.
Because then it would have felt like a prequel, and it would be like he first meets Belloc, or like set up that backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it wasn't clear enough that this was a prequel for some of
correct.
these things.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like, I feel like I would have been like, what?
There's no
Didn't we
evidence
meet
that this is a
him?
prequel aside
There's
from
no-
the title card. Just
Correct.
the
There's
year.
no- and I think that's
And
what
if-
makes it weird,
Yeah.
because it feels like, oh, we set up this Indiana Jones character in the first movie. Now here's a second movie that barely resembles that first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, he literally has this whole child ward that he took
That he
on.
purchased
that he
or
just suddenly
saved.
doesn't.
He saved.
He saved him. He didn't purchase
I
him.
like to think he adopted him in my mind. Please. But,
you're going to hate me for saying this, but I kind of feel like it would have made more sense if Short Round died.
You're right.
and that's the end of the podcast.
We are going to hate you.
I feel like it would have made more sense.
There would have been
I would have
too
cried
high of
for
emotional
a straight
stakes
hour.
for what is, in effect, a children's movie.
Tom,
Yeah,
I want you to
okay.
know that I finished Schitt's Creek last week, and I cried for 15 minutes after that.
You couldn't handle the death of Short Round.
I couldn't handle the death of Short Round.
What about the death of Willie?
Yeah,
Yeah,
fine,
kill
bye.
Yeah, but then you don't have the emotional weight.
Okay, I
Yeah,
know I
the
can say
emotion.
this
Yeah,
because
she's the emotional weight in the fact that she's the weight that's dragging us down to the bottom of the ocean.
I know.
Yeah,
but
she
I
and
feel like
Indy
that
have-
could happened.
she and Indy have no chemistry.
There's
I'm
nothing.
sorry, they don't. The only chemistry
she's
they have is that
Just
the chemistry of being a heterosexual man and a heterosexual woman who are just near each other and have no one else around.
well, she's following up a great performance from Marion in the first movie,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, oh, this is the Marion of this movie, and
Not really.
nowhere near.
They give me big let's do it because we're together energy, not
Oh yeah,
I want to be with you romantically.
they don't know each
energy.
other at all, and she gets on a plane and then jumps out of the plane into a raft about 6 hours later.
I wouldn't even do that for if Gage was like, get on this raft and jump out of this plane, I'd say
Right when you, yeah, and
absolutely
you
not.
know Gage.
Yeah, I would just die. I'd say thanks, but it's been real. It's been fun. It has not been real fun. Have fun on your raft.
She is written like a character written by two men going through bitter divorces.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean
You're right.
they do no build up in this movie.
No.
There's no tension, there's no build up, there's no reason we should be rooting for anybody.
She is. She has two modes, and that is either whiny, complainy, annoying woman or damsel in distress, and nothing in between.
Well,
No,
what about
no
exceptionally
substance.
That's a
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree that that's something that. Oh, I want to say something, but my mom listens to this and she just scolded me for saying too many inappropriate things on the podcast. I'm going to say it anyway. I think we could all agree that that's something a lot of people experience. That's probably the Gesundheit, Dan.
Thank you. I'm keeping
the
it
most
in.
realistic. The most realistic of all of her personalities. All the rest
Yeah.
make her look like a shallow,
Yes.
two-dimensional character.
Yes.
So some trivia about the movie. I think Tom is defending Willie and Kate Capshaw because she is from Missouri.
Tom,
I'm not defending her in any way, shape, or form. Nor am I defending the state of Missouri.
you can defend the actress for being
The
from Missouri.
the current governor of Missouri was told he was governor on his tractor.
That's iconic,
They
and that's
walked
something
up to
I
him and
aim
said,
for.
"The current governor is resigning. You are now the governor of Missouri."
Mm-hmm.
And he said,
Literally?
"Okay."
Iconic. Oh god, I love tractors. Did you know that?
You
laugh,
wouldn't like
but
the
it's
governor of
literally true.
Missouri.
Oh, is he like yee?
He's
You can say it. This is a safe space.
very similar to I guess the rest of the Wisconsin government other than our governor.
Absolutely not.
Besides our governor. It's like
Listen.
the opposite.
I am what the kids call y'alternative. I like a tractor. I like a plaid. I like a crop. But I don't like inequality. Okay, carry on.
You want the aesthetic.
Kate Capshaw does not like the character of Willie, saying all she does is scream.
Yeah, my throat was tired watching him.
Yeah.
She didn't like the character she played?
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like
I was going to say, she
If you
could have
play-
played it less whiny.
well,
So she was
sometimes
directed.
it's not your choice, you know.
Yeah.
Like the director will be like, "Whine more," and you're like, "Ugh,"
Yeah,
but
I'm
you
sure.
Do it
I
'cause you're
guess if she
trying to-
didn't like it, she probably tried it at first, and then Steven was like, "Nah, whinier."
Yeah.
she was trying to cut the check, you know.
Yeah.
I would have winded up too if that's what they wanted. If they're gonna pay me,
Harrison Ford knew that he would be shirtless for a large part of the movie, so he underwent a strict weightlifting regimen, and he credits that for the reason why he recovered from a back injury so quickly while filming, because of his being in good shape. Dan Aykroyd is in the movie.
What?
What? Name one
Where?
time.
According to this, Dan Aykroyd has a fake British accent. Yeah, he's the guy that tells Indy to get on the plane at the beginning of the movie.
So it's just like a little pop-in
Yeah.
cameo. Good for her.
Him.
I'm looking for a screen. Oh my
I
god,
said
it is
her
him!
and then I said him. Did you hear it? I said herm because I was going to say good for her because that's what I always say, and then I said him. Herm.
That is totally him.
Do you think his ghosts were there?
He is in full Ghostbusters getup, it looks like.
No. Doesn't Dan Aykroyd believe in ghosts?
He does,
like
yeah.
for real? Like, yeah. It's fucking wild. I love his stories about it. And aliens. Doesn't he believe in aliens?
Yes.
Can you tell them to be quiet
that
outside your
motorcycle,
window,
calm
please?
down.
Can you just like shake a fist out the window?
So the sword fight between Indy and the swordsman, that where in the first one where Indy shoots the guy, was reworked into this movie.
I didn't like that.
The minecart chase was originally planned for Raiders, and had to be cut for pacing reasons. The headpiece of Ra
But they thought it was
supposed to be found in Shanghai, but they had to cut it before shooting.
literally. We
Wait.
didn't even need to be in Shanghai,
Wait, hold on.
but that's
hold on.
none of my business.
What do you mean the headpiece of Rob?
Of the staff, the headpiece of the staff, he was going to
Yeah.
find it in Shanghai and not at Marion's bar. And they
so
rewrote
wait,
it.
Wait.
And then they took elements of it and turned it into the opening scene of this.
Oh, well,
okay. So
I was
it
so
wasn't-
lost
So
for a
it wasn't. So were they planning on like that being like to prove that this was a prequel, or was this just the
No,
scene?
this-
they
no,
were,
they-
they were gonna put this scene in Raiders.
Yeah, it was. They had planned the scene to be in Raiders, didn't have it, reworked it, and put it into this movie.
Gotcha.
And then the villain buying the pilots to Indy's plane and then crashing it was going to happen before Indy arrives in Egypt in Raiders. Didn't use that. Used it in this movie.
So this movie is just the cutting room from Raiders.
Yeah, it's just the ideas. It's the cut ideas basically. Sharon Stone auditioned for the part of Willie. There would have been a little more full frontal had that been the case. That is a Sharon Stone in I forgot the name of the movie, but she uncrosses her legs and is not wearing underwear.
Basic.
Joke,
Ma'am.
Basic Instinct joke.
ma'am, please.
Chris Columbus, director of Home Alone and the first two Harry Potter movies,
First two Harry Potter movies.
wrote a script that was
Unfortunate
rejected
name.
for this.
Well,
Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote The Bodyguard and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He was asked to write a script, but he refused because he was working on The Big Chill, the film with Tom Berenger and Glenn Close.
I was gonna say, isn't Glenn Close?
Yeah.
I've never even seen that movie. I don't know why I know she's in that, but I do.
The original title was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Death, and they changed it because it sounded too foreboding.
I mean,
So they just made the movie more foreboding.
I guess.
Doom seems somehow like at least death is straightforward. You
Yeah.
know?
Doom is menacing.
Yeah, like what's my doom? A fate
I mean-
worse than death?
I also think Doom, and I think like,
Victor Vaughn.
well, yeah, like it seems more cartoony.
Yeah.
You mean like in Roger Rabbit, Judge Doom, as played by Christopher Lloyd?
I love Christopher Lloyd.
I'm gonna go
love
through
Roger
this
Rabbit.
quick because it's late and I want to go to sleep. We did not make this any
all
shorter.
our
We've made this
bedtimes.
longer than the last episode.
Oops.
Anna, would this movie be better, worse, or the same with Jonathan Taylor Thomas as Short Round?
I mean, I like to think that if he was playing Short Round, he would be playing a kid from LA or something like that, not an Asian child.
Hopefully.
If he was playing a white kid, it'd be better. If he was doing Yellowface or whatever it's called, I'm not sure what the proper term for that
It's
is.
Yellowface,
There's
yeah.
no
correct.
proper term.
Well, it is Yellowface. If it was Jonathan Taylor Thomas
that would be
playing an Asian
that would
child.
be a horrible, absolutely horrible thing that no one should sign on for. So it could go one of two ways, depending on the call of the director. Thank you.
Okay, Tom, who did you say your favorite performer is?
Tom Hanks.
Better, worse, or the same? Tom Hanks, Indiana Jones.
Oh, worse. Significantly worse. Are you kidding me? It would be so
Didn't we
bad.
have-
It would be unwatchable. They would.
Didn't we discuss last time about how he's like not rugged
No,
enough?
he's too
he's
much
not
of a
rugged
dad.
enough. Yeah, he's not. He's not grumpy enough.
Amen.
He's not. I mean, the one role he could play would just be replacing Dan Aykroyd at the very beginning of the movie.
Opens a door.
That's the only role. Maybe a background extra or a waiter in the restaurant. Like,
He could be the guy who pushes the cart of dishes into the middle of the dance floor and then leaves it just so that it could be used to like push Harrison Ford onto later on in the movie in the fight scene.
yeah, there's no other like place for Tom Hanks.
And better, worse, or the same with Jimmy Stewart as Willie? Better.
I'd love to see
Oh, there
that.
are
I'd
bugs
love
here.
to see
There are bugs!
a performance of anything goes.
In olden days, you know, when it comes to stalking, it was looked on as something shocking.
Oh my.
Yeah. Tom, on a scale of 1 to 5, or I guess 0 to 5 Infinity Stones. I don't know.
Oh, still beating hearts.
What do you give the movie?
I'll say a 3.5.
Okay. Anna, you look surprised.
Well, I was gonna say 3, so I was just a little shooketh.
I say half because it has the character recognition of Indiana Jones in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that half comes in, is that this works as an Indiana Jones movie. It's not my favorite, but
there's a certain floor that it starts at.
there's that yeah, it starts at a half star because it has Indiana Jones doing Indiana Jones things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's 3 stars because it's better than average.
Yeah.
It's a B. It's a B minus.
So Anna,
B plus.
you give it a 3?
Yeah. I don't know. There are parts that I enjoy. I think I just enjoy the nostalgia of like watching this when I was younger and all that stuff like I mentioned before. But like you said, it's a cycle of sometimes I'm like, yeah, I really could watch that right now. And then I watch him like, for what? Why did I do this? And then I'll revisit this in 5 years and probably experience the cycle all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I certainly don't dread watching this movie.
No.
Yeah.
I just think I'm neither here nor there. Like, I feel like it's not a 5, it's not a 0, it's dead middle
Yeah.
for me. That's a very bland answer, but I have a very bland opinion on it, I guess.
This would probably be the threshold of movie I would seek out to see in a theater.
Like anything worse you wouldn't, anything better you would.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I would think. I mean, knowing, well, at the time, if I'd never seen it before, because it's a theatrical release, I would have definitely seen it because Indiana Jones. Yes, please.
Well, yeah.
But like now, if they were showing like indie movies in a theater, like I'd probably go and make sure I get the chance to see this on a big screen. Just because
Fair.
it's classic and like we said, the practical effects are really good. Visual effects are but the practical effects are great. So
But would you go see it in an IMAX?
yes.
Sounds good. I wasn't sure if your answer would change.
No, I mean, no. I tend to splurge and be okay with like going and seeing it in a better theater.
Fair.
Yeah.
I would give the movie 3 stars as well. It's fun.
Excellent choice, Dan.
It's fun. It's good. I enjoyed it. A little loud though. Tone down the screaming.
Daniel.
Y'all have anything else to add before we wrap up? Based on the fact that
my eyes are practically
Yeah.
shutting themselves. Is it obvious that I've been doing the podcast like this with my eyes closed?
What? No.
Whoa!
Do you have "I love you" written on your eyelids?
She'd never do
Yes.
that for us. She'd only do that for Pete Wentz.
You right.
So, if you like the podcast and you want to support us, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at And In Conclusion, on Instagram at In Conclusion Podcast, on Patreon, patreon.com/In Conclusion. You can give us money. We have tiers. You're speaking with 1/3 of our patrons right now.
The tiers
Thanks,
are
Tom.
redacted.
The tiers are suggestions for us. If you want to find me online, I am on Twitter at Dan O'Keefe86, on TikTok at Not Dan O'Keefe, and I have a blog on my website, dan-o'keefe.com/blog. Tom, where can they find you?
Pretty much everything is on my website, tomhillmeyer.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Tom Hillmeyer. You can follow me on Instagram at Tom Hillmeyer Photos. Dan and I do a trivia show every Wednesday night, 9/8 Central at fastfactslive.com. Very fun. You should play. That's it.
Anna,
Dan.
hit me with it.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at OptimusPrime818, or you can find me on Twitter at AutobotsRollOut, capital O for Auto, capital B for Bots, capital R for Roll, and the O in Roll and the O in Out are zeros. I can't wait till we end up doing the Transformers by force. And I can make so many jokes about myself. Not that I don't
Oh
already.
boy. Well, we're not doing the Transformers next week. Instead, we are coming back with the poorly named Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, because it is now the third of 5 films
It was aptly named.
at a time.
Wait,
They're
5?
filming the 5th right now. Harrison Ford just got injured on
Oh, yeah.
set.
Literally, I'm surprised
Let
that
him
he
fly a
agreed
plane
to.
again.
Right?
He probably is so angry the whole time. I do not. If I was a PA, no,
That's
I
the
don't
end.
think
I wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be. I'd walk on set and they'd be like, "And Harrison Ford." I'd be like, "I'm outie. Thank you for the
It's
opportunity."
just so old.
I just feel like he'd bully me. I can't speak to his character. It's just a vibe I get. I feel like he'd be like, "You there with your red hair and your cheerful attitude. Get out of here." And I'd be like, okay, Mr. Ford.
Why does your
And I
impression
would.
of Harrison Ford sound like a politician running for president in the 70s?
Because everyone is Nixon in my mind.
Well, tune in next week to hear more of Anna Otto's Nixon impression. In the meantime, everybody stay safe, have fun, and get vaccinated. Bye-bye.
Ew, that was
no.
too cringy. I hated it. You sounded like a cringe. I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm looking at myself a lot tonight because I'm really feeling this look. It's post-workout sweaty, but I still think I look cute, so just vibing. Just wanted to share with you.